Hi, Dave Sievertson, Cincinnati General Insurance, talking briefly about homeowners insurance. Three things to start with. I believe what insurance company you choose matters. I believe the policies are not interchangeable commodities. I believe an insurance policy is a complex contract that you kind of need to understand. And I think it makes a difference what your policy says. And finally, I believe it makes a difference. Your agent can make a difference in your insurance program. And I mention those things because I think they make a difference nowhere as much as they do when you talk about homeowners insurance. And here's a quick example. If you go back to Hurricane Katrina, okay, in New Orleans, devastating event, lots of homes wiped out. Remember hearing on the news litigation, insurance companies. Now, there were homeowners that had their homes rebuilt within a year. That got paid, that moved on, that did just fine. And then there were others that probably still hadn't got paid. One of them was Trent Lott, who was a former leader in the Republican Party. He was a senator, and he sued his insurance company along with other homeowners. And what they were suing about was that several of the large insurance companies had put a clause in their homeowners insurance policy. And that clause had to do with what they call concurrent causation. And that basically said that if there's any flood damage, we don't have to pay for any other damage that happens to your house. So that would include wind, that would include fire. So as the hurricane blew through, the wind might have torn your house apart, the electrical wires could have come out and set the house on fire. But when the adjuster shows up and he sees 6 inches of water in your basement, he says, there's flooding. Concurrent causation says that we don't have to cover the claim for the fire. We don't have to cover the claim for the wind. Okay, there's a case where the policy language made a very big difference to a lot of people. I mean, I don't think any of those people cared if they saved $50 or $100 like they'll tell you in the commercials. There's a case where it made a difference what insurance company you were with. A lot of companies didn't sell insurance with those clauses in them in that area. And finally, it would make a difference with your agent, if your agent was reading your policy for you and advising you on your policy language. Now, this is specifically relevant to homeowners because nowhere has your insurance policy been shrinking as much as homeowners policies. I've got a bag of Lay's potato chips here. And when you open up a bag of potato chips, what do you see now mostly? You see a lot of air because companies have been shrinking the amount of chips that they're putting into their bags. I played racquetball with a software engineer, and they actually helped Pringle redesign their chip where they could put less chips into the container, and yet the container would still look just as full. So those companies are very clever, but you can see those results. But what you don't see is when your company is shrinking your homeowner's coverage, and because you're not reading your policy and your agent's not advising you, because many agents sell just one homeowner's policy. So how does it behoove them to come and tell you that your policy is not as good as it used to be? Now, there's lots of examples of that, going to actual cash value on roofing claims, wind claims, having separate wind hail deductibles, not covering libel and slander for liability, and some of those I mentioned on the website. There's an awful lot, but the big one I want to mention is the idea of replacement cost. Many people that I talk to think that because they have replacement cost coverage on their home, that means that the insurance company is going to rebuild their home no matter how much it costs. Now, that is 100% wrong. Most of the companies used to offer that, but that began to change in the 70s. They had a big fire in Oakland, and all the homes were underinsured, and companies had to pay out tons of money. So what most insurance companies offer, and by most I mean the big ones, the direct writers, the State Farms, the Allstates, the Nationwides, Liberty Mutuals, in general, because I don't have the specific policy in front of me, but most of those companies have gone to what they call extended replacement costs. Means on your policy you have a coverage A, that's your dwelling coverage. So let's say we figure out it costs $200,000 to rebuild your home. They put in a coverage cushion, some companies call it. The smallest one I've seen is 10%. That's the biggest insurance company in the country. That's what they offer. So the most they're going to pay to rebuild your home is $220,000 after you pay your deductible. More typically, you see coverage cushions of 20-25%. Okay, so that adds a little bit of a cushion. Why is that cushion important? One, because many homes are underinsured. That's a national phenomenon. Two, when people remodel their homes, they don't always advise their insurance company, so they could be uninsured for that reason. And then finally, because when you do have a serious big event in an area, a tornado, a hurricane, or whatever it's going to be, very often you'll see construction costs rise. I moved from San Diego to Ohio in 2007. We decided we want to raise our kids here close to the grandparents. Fire swept through our neighborhood, took 2 homes on our street, took hundreds of homes across the major street, the homes that backed up to the canyon. United Policyholders is a nonprofit insurance policyholder advocate organization, nonprofit. They estimate that 3 out of the 4 folks that lost their homes in those fires in San Diego of 2007 did not get enough money from their insurance companies to rebuild. Because again, the homes were underinsured and the building costs went up. So what can you do? For one, we recommend a minimum coverage cushion of 50%. There are carriers that start at 50% coverage cushion, so my $200,000 home now, I have an additional $100,000 to help rebuild. There are companies that'll take that $200,000 and double it, giving me $400,000 either to rebuild my dwelling, or some of them just have it as a pot of money that I can spend it whatever I need it on. Detached structures, I can do personal property, but I have that much money to work with. And finally, the best coverage you can get is guaranteed replacement cost coverage. And that says that whatever it costs to rebuild your home, we're going to pay it. We'll take out the deductible, but if we insure your home for $200,000 and half of Ohio is wiped out, now it costs $500,000, that's what we have to pay. That's what we're on the hook for. That's the best coverage you can get. You can still get it, but typically you can't get it from one of the big companies. So I guess the broader point is more than any other policy, you really have to pay attention to the details in your homeowner's policy because they most frequently have the biggest financial impact on your financial well-being. So Dave Severson with Cincinnati General talking about homeowners insurance. Thank you.